Welcome to AFL Light, when 9 games become 2 in an opening round ravaged by tropical cyclone Alfred. And while meteorological events aren't the fault of the AFL, and its early pivot to cancel the weather-affected fixture was the right one, it surely forces a rethink on the opening round. The West Coast Eagles have launched officially with a suit and tie affair at Crown Casino. New coach Andrew McQualter spoke to the blue and gold masses, quoting the late Lakers great Kobe Bryant.
We can always be average and do what's normal, but we're not here to be normal.
Co-captain Oscar Allen admitted it would take time to adjust to McQualter's new game plan.
We want our identity as a side to be a tough, fast and dynamic football team that plays in a way that make you, our people, proud. We will do this by creating turnovers as quickly as possible and playing the game in our front half. Sounds really simple, but it's bloody hard to execute.
Sydney now opens the season against Hawthorn on Friday night at the SCG. While GWS, without key forwards Jesse Hogan and Jake Stringer and midfielder Tom Green, face Collingwood at NG Stadium on Sunday. And meanwhile, the Waffle is celebrating the 100th birthday of its oldest player, Bob Taylor, a former hard-nosed East Perth and Perth defender. I am joined on the TheWestSport show by his great nephew, West Australian football writer Mitchell Woodcock and Channel 7's Adrian Barich. Both were at the Eagles launch. But first, and I want a bit of grizzle about that in a moment, let's talk about Bob the Bowler. Barra, you featured him on 7 last night, and I'll be writing about him in my Sunday column. They just don't make him like Bob anymore.
Oh, mate, what a great fella. And Mitchie, your great uncle, is he? Or?
Yeah, married into the family, so the football skills didn't pass on through the bloodline.
So you've been knocking around with him for donkey's years?
Yeah, 33
such a small
years
world,
I've
is it?
known him.
Hey
Yeah.
Mitch, you're going to live a long life.
I
Let me
hope
tell
so.
you, well, how's his go-to diet? This is his go-to diet.
That's brilliant.
Ideal meal, polony sandwich with Meadowlee margarine in the white bread you get from the Spud Shed. So the $2 loaves, nothing fancy. Doesn't not eat, but if he can, he avoids salad and veggies, right? And here's the key to his longevity. And I think you mentioned this on your 7 show last night, home brew. So I've been out to his retirement village in Innaloo. He's got the homebrew kit out in the back courtyard.
Woodlands.
At
Yeah.
Woodlands.
Yep.
He's got the homebrew kit there, has a couple of King Browns on the go and has 2 glasses every night, maybe a glass of wine. Plays bowls 4 times a week. What a legend.
Yeah, so married into who is my nana's family, the 4 sisters. So all these men married into that family, including my late granddad, Albert Russell. But all the men got along really well. My uncle Jerry was there last night. He's 97 as well. So
130 people for a shindig last night.
Yeah, and I think I was the youngest by a fair bit. No, it was a great night. It was great to see him. He's still going so well. By the way, Barra, thank you so much for this. The family were greatly appreciative. He was still wearing his Perth Guernsey last night
With
at
the
the
number
party.
100 on the back.
Still wearing it.
Presented by
until-
Chubby Styles.
Oh, that's made my day.
Still wearing it at his 100th birthday last night. The family was stoked. He had letters from the King. He had letters from the Prime Minister.
Has he opened the letter from the King?
No.
No, he hasn't yet. But I can tell you right now, the
He's
letter...
very chuffed by it.
Republican.
Well, he's not that he's... It's not
he
a
loved
protest.
it.
But Veteran Affairs
just hasn't got round to it yet. He's been inundated.
Isn't it Veteran Affairs comes first?
Yep,
It
and
does.
he was very excited about that one. But I can tell you right now, he's he helped form the Double View Football Club. So he was
Wow.
very excited when the Gary Buckenara
And Mike Fitzpatrick
letters came on, who he had an influence on their
Ian
lives.
Callaghan was another, the chair of the WA
Wow.
Football, sent him a letter of congratulations. So he's been inundated and good on him.
Hey, he'd be horrified at you eating your protein bars then, mate.
Yeah, I know. I don't think he likes he wouldn't like my diet. Although I did notice he liked the prawns last night with the cocktail sauce, so he was very much into that.
He can't go past
So,
the Thousand Island
Might have
dressing.
had a sneak look in his fridge too while I was in the unit,
Yeah.
with permission.
Did you try
With
the
permission.
home brew, though?
No,
you?
mate. It's a single bloke's fridge. You know,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like.
Oh,
Mate,
yeah.
you should have had a crack at the home brew. I'm not
should-
saying I did because I was working, but
it was a bit early, mate. It's like 9 in the morning now. On holidays I'll have one at 11.
it was midday in the east.
Breaks my rule, mate. Breaks my rule.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to Bob.
Hey, just give you his games played
Yes.
for us. It was 15-0 he was. We won 15 games when he was playing, and he played in all 15. Played with the great Merv McIntosh, who is one of our greatest. And how's that? He played for East Perth in 1942, and this is Nufty Barra, So he played for East Perth at 1952, 14 games. What happened? You didn't play again till 1948. And he goes, "Bop-bow." There was a big event going on in the world.
Yes.
Called World War II.
Served in the Navy. Served in the Navy, positioned, stationed everywhere up in the Philippines. So has served his country with distinction, has served his state with distinction. Is a great football person. Congratulations, Bob. Enjoy all the interest that comes your way. And I can tell you a bit of commotion when I was at the retirement village today. There were people sort of looking out their doors and saying, he's a bit of a celebrity, you know. There was Channel 7 was here last night. And so good on him.
Actually, I'll give you blokes a plug because he said that he does the footy tipping on the game. I didn't even put him up to it. And he was number 7 as well. So we gave him a 7 jumper as well. He does the footy tipping. And he reckons the 50-metre rule is an absolute joke, and they should get rid of it.
Hey, that's a beautiful segue. Firstly, this podcast is brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. What's gambling really costing you? And Barra, thank you for the segue. The game tipping. You could win big on the game this footy season. There's $50,000 up for grabs for the season's top tipper, thanks to TABtouch. And you could walk away with $1,000 each week as the round's top tipper. Thanks to our great friends at Thirsty Camel. Don't have a footy brain? You could win a Mazda BT50 SP just for playing. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now at thegame.com.au. Now, boys, I've got a...
Do you want some breaking news before we move on?
Give us some breaking news.
So the AFL is now just confirmed at Mitchie, and I think you already knew this and so did you, Quarters, but the AFL's confirmed the postponed opening round match between Brisbane and Geelong will be played in round 3. At 6:35 local time at the Gabba on a Saturday night. So that's
we expected that.
Where the bye was going to be. And then the Gold Coast Essendon game will be played as part of round 24 in addition to their currently scheduled round 24 matches against Carlton and Port Adelaide, with a view to maximising the breaks between round 24 game and the rescheduled game and the first final.
So there still will be a bye between, and that game will be in round 24 now.
Yeah, so they basically played 2 games in one round, the same round.
It's going to be interesting if either of those
how far apart are they?
Have they given the actual night?
So will it be the following weekend when there is a bye? Is that what we're saying?
So the Gold Coast Essendon game will be played as part of round 24 in addition to their currently scheduled round 24 match against Carlton and Port Adelaide respectively, with a view to maximising the breaks between the round 24 game. So it'll probably be one beginning of the week and the end of the week, would it?
Well, don't forget it's a floating fixture at this point. Yeah. So they could probably pull those games to maybe a Thursday.
Well, they're going to have to.
And then maybe push that to a Monday.
Well, they'll have to do it. And that's fine, but it's a mess. And let's just turn opening round into round 1. Let's play all 9 fixtures. Let's open with your Sydney marquee, your Northern States marquee games. And I know it still doesn't. This cyclone is a cyclone. They still had to find somewhere for it to be played. But it's a mess. Let's be honest about it. We've got 2 games of footy this week.
Well, I was going to launch this on Monday, in my column, Motormouth Mitch, which lovely name.
What's it called?
Motormouth Mitch.
Haven't you read Motormouth Mitch? It's been going for a year.
What committee, buddy, suggested that?
It's been going for a year. Don't you read the West?
I know, but I wanted to raise this. Mate, go back. Get your manager, or you want me to speak to...
I'm the manager.
Is it Quarters? Is his decision or Jacobs?
No, it's not my decision.
Motormouth Mitch. He's not a Motormouth.
Well...
I'm up and about though, but what I will say,
Magnificent Mitch.
I don't like the opening round, and originally it was, I think, to combat Vegas.
Of course it was.
The whole NRL thing.
And it's not even on the same round.
So do you want to, no, it's not for
been
starters.
done.
But so can we actually, if we want to combat the NRL in Vegas and this Sydney market, can we not do it the way we should be doing it, which is very simply, the first game on the Thursday night is your grand final rematch, bang, straight out of the blocks.
Yeah.
Unveil the flag. It's the most anticipated game of the year. Then the next night, Friday night, let's put the Sydney, if it's not either of those teams, let's put the Sydney, the Derby or whatever they call it, the Battle of the Bridges.
Why do we have
Let's do if we want 500,000 people at a round of footy, let's give them the biggest games we can. Let's put Port Adelaide and Hawthorn on Saturday night over at Marvel or MCG with Ken Hinkley walking out there doing the plane thing, and let's actually have something that matters that people want to go to and really catches the attention. Like you said, unfortunately, the cyclone, we just thinking of everybody over in Queensland at the moment and hoping they're all okay. But unfortunately, even before then, it was a bit of a fizzer of a round, especially over here where we are a footy state.
We got to wait
and
a
we
week.
are chomping at the bit to play football, and we can't.
Yep.
And it didn't work as much as it should have, and it needs to be scrapped. And we need to just have a big round to open the season.
Now, fellas, I've been out at the mailbox all week. Forlorn, I am. Nothing. No, diddly squat. No invite to the suit and tie affair this morning, the Eagles launch. You two were there.
Well, I got
the Golden Boys.
I got an invite as the media. This man didn't come and sit on the media table though.
Oh, I heard.
No.
He was up on stage.
No. He was the past player. He was up on stage and he was giving the number 38 Guernsey to Hamish Davis, who he's coached as a junior.
Nice touch.
Wouldn't surprise me halfway through the year if he's Hamish Barich. Like China,
mate,
you're adopting him.
No,
he's
no more appropriate person to give it to because the way but I'm not blowing my own trumpet. But
I'm not. No,
I'm not. Hey, Maverick Mitch.
Blowing his own trumpet. He's a very
Mighty Mitch. Get Mighty Mitch going, I reckon.
Sounds like Mighty Mouse.
Brass band over there. He's got every instrument.
They had Ryan Daniels
Megatron Mitch.
Adrian Barich coming out and giving the Guernsey.
No, but anyway, look, let me explain, right? So with his dad, Brad, and his mum, Beck, I coached him in Auskick and then through juniors. And as it turned out, he was a Collingwood fan and he used to sleep with a Pendlebury doll.
Did he?
That's how much he loved Collingwood. And, I found out.
What age still?
Just the last week. No. Yeah, how's this?
I had my Peter Knight style, but it would tell you what, it was
Knightsy.
Well, you've got your dog name. You've got your dog name Ruffy.
8 or 9 tops.
You got your dog named Ruffy.
Well, I have. That's
Good looking rooster. It was a good looking rooster, Knightsy.
Knightsy used to take a nice hang. Yeah.
Can I just say that this fella, how's this? I was speaking to Collingwood this week. So this is Hamish Davis, number 38 for the Eagles. I spoke to Collingwood this week and they said we were going to choose between your two blokes, Barrow, Will Hayes and Hamish Davis when that pick came. I coached them both. I'm not talking about myself, but at Subi Juniors, right? And Hamish is the biggest Collingwood fan of all time, but they said they had enough midfielders. We're going to go with Will Hayes. So they took the young bloke, but now he's at West Coast, and unbeknownst to me, they give him jumper 38, which is a jumper I played in as well. I mean, when I was coaching, I was saying, mate, you're going to play in the AFL. You are good enough. Don't give it up. And his parents were driving him more than me. And he actually got there. And then today I'm on stage with him, giving him his jumpers. Like, it was a spin out for him. I said to him, how's this? How do you reckon this happened? He goes, I don't know. This is unbelievable.
Lovely touch, though, I will say, from West Coast. Chris Maywaring's son, Zach, presented the number 3 to Liam Baker. So the late Chris Maywaring was represented.
Well done.
Obviously, some great players have worn that Guernsey. Very few players, but some great players.
I was very surprised, actually, that they...
Who are they?
But Zach was, obviously, the great man.
Yeah,
but,
Maywaring, Chris Judd.
Judd, of course.
Andrew Gaff, I believe, would be the only 3 that
and
have
Gaffy got life membership. Is that why he wasn't there?
He got life membership as well, him and Jack Darling.
AFL, congratulations to Andrew Gaff.
And the other beautiful thing was Adam Selwood was there today with his wife, so everyone sort of
all the
got
best
around
again
them.
to the Selwood family.
Close
Should be
ranks.
doing it tough, yeah.
Yeah, mate, such a great bloke. Such a great bloke.
Now tell me...
Actually, if you're going to leave that function, shall we say what happened there? Or?
No, we're going to talk about it.
Oh, sorry, you go,
interesting McQualter quoting Kobe Bryant. I like the sentiments. Oscar Allen had spoke. Jack Cowan was presented as the number 1 ticket holder.
Hungry Jack.
Mr. Hungry Jack.
The original Hungry Jack.
The ticket holders are better.
So what did you two get out of it? What did you think? How was it empowering? The
you go, Mitch.
Andrew McQualter.
If you change your tip.
I think it was inspiring, but reality setting too. Like they're not. So Fremantle a couple of weeks ago or last week were very much, they've got this bold vision. They want to contend, and that's where they're at right now. So you need to do that. You need to say and be real with your supporters. West Coast were just as real. They turned around and said, yeah, look, we're chasing these 3 things, which is to be tough, to play with speed, and to be dynamic. So they're going to go for that. But they're also open. They're saying they're going to make mistakes and it's going to take time, and that they're doing this because it's difficult, but they know it's difficult but it's going to work because it is difficult. So they're not taking the easy way out.
But they were preaching patience as well, weren't they?
Yeah, which is a reality of West Coast.
But they locked into the game plan, which I thought was pretty cool.
So low possession, high turnover, turn it over, keep it in the forward line. That's going to be what we're going to see, which means it's going to be exciting, but you're going to cough up some goals going the other way.
Well, it's turnover footy.
Yeah,
they're going to play turnover footy. And you know what blows me away about, and this is a discussion for another time, but Fremantle should really lock into playing more turnover footy. Because they're the best at stoppages, aren't they? They're incredible at stoppage.
They are a good stoppage team.
Yeah. So they should go down the line a bit more often, but they still go sideways a bit. They try to, hit up
Well, Justin Longmuir sort of tried to explain that I thought he explained it quite eloquently, actually, with Craig O'Donoghue last weekend. It was an excellent piece. Their control of footy. They do handball a lot more than people give them credit for.
Oh, yeah, when they get going with the handball. But can I go back to the Eagles? I thought it was interesting, Oscar Allen speaking. And he apparently had gastro last year. Is that right? Did he say
Yeah,
that? Did I miss
I
that bit?
remember him
Last
running.
year.
Yeah, so last year
Oh, yes, he
at the
did.
season launch.
He
And
did.
I remember him running out
Yes.
as he was going to do the captain speech. And you and I were sitting next to each other and we looked at each other as if to say, what's going on
But he
here?
actually ran out to the toilet.
Yeah, and
As you
Liam
do
Duggan.
when you got gastro.
And they
Barra.
said, Oscar Allen come up on stage, and Liam Duggan sort of sheepishly walked up as if to be like, well, I'm not Oscar Allen, obviously, and did the speech and did very well. And we found out later,
You
that
blokes
day
ever
that-
been caught short like that?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
in Bali? Is that what? Bali's the best.
Not just Bali, mate. Driving
I had an
on a
interview.
plane, flying from Heathrow to New York.
Oh, I had an interview.
That's another story. We won't go there.
What
at the
about when you
moment.
try to break wind and you just go, oh, no.
Well, that's never happened.
I had an
in
interview
Bali,
with
mate.
Andrew McQualter, which you can read this weekend in
Yes.
the West. But and I'd had a few coffees and a bit of fruit at the breakfast this morning, so I was slightly concerned. There was some times where I was sitting there
So-
thinking, please, not now. It's my first big interview, and we're up in the Crystal Room at the Crown Towers, and there's all these people.
Mate,
that are,
you're
you know,
embarrassing the quarters, mate. No invite. Nowhere near the Crystal Room, that's for
You know, I
sure.
Oh, mate, don't worry. I felt completely
Crystal
out
Club,
of place.
Crystal Club it is.
Oh, I just felt out
Oh,
of place.
that's all right. I just sat there having my bowl of muesli, a cup of tea, looking out over the parklands near my house, thinking like, I would have been there.
No,
in
can
past
we be
years.
honest?
It's
You were having an extra cup of coffee because you've been up all night.
I have been up.
You've
all
been
night.
up all night, and we're going to
That's
have to
fair.
talk about this.
Oh,
So the Hawthorn documentary
yeah.
on 7+, what a fantastic product, but I reckon Quarters watched it three
Can't
times.
sweat.
I want to have a go about that.
Why?
What club gets a friggin' doco for finishing in the semis?
Oh,
Honestly, what a
They're
joke.
all going to. Essendon's got one coming.
They've
out
done
soon. They didn't
Jack.
Make the
They've
finals.
done Jack
They
shit.
haven't made the finals since 2001 or whatever.
it's on 7+, so anybody listening out
Mate,
there, I love it.
But it was brilliant.
Couple
it
of
was
good
brilliant.
insights into that, actually. Tom Barassis was really, really enlightening about him. Not because, let's be honest, he's had a bit of a license to roam at the Eagles, and he's gone into a new defensive system now at Hawthorn. He said, "I've struggled a bit because I go to run this way. No, that's not where." So it's taken him a while to adapt.
Tommy Barras.
Tommy Barras.
Tell the true story, though.
Yeah, that's what
He
I just
hasn't,
said.
he hasn't had to be accountable for
No,
how
it
long?
hasn't. Well, it's not. I think you're always
No,
accountable.
don't gild it, mate. Don't try to gild the
I'm not
lily.
gilding the lily.
The way it came across to me was he has not
Has to
had to
play
play
within
on
a more
anyone
structured
for
game
3
plan.
years.
Yeah, well,
and now he has to play on someone.
He does.
He hasn't got Gov there to cover everything for him.
Well,
It's like when
he's got
Jakovic
Sam
used to-
Frost there, and he's got James Sicily.
Worsfold used to have to cover and McKenna for Jakovic because
Yeah.
Jacko would just go wandering off and come back, and it's the same
Did all
thing.
right against Wayne Carey.
Sucked
Jacko.
in, Tommy. You have to play on someone.
Jesus, Jacko did all right against Wayne Carey, arguably the greatest. of
Oh
all
yeah,
time.
when he went the 1-on-1.
Had his number.
Just going back to
Yep.
Oscar Allen, what I was going to say there. So the four, what do they call it? Tenants or the four pillars.
Pillars.
So the fourth one was belonging, and Oscar Allen said, "I believe this is the one we should hold dearest." So if that's the case,
Is Oscar coming or going? Where's he going?
Yes, exactly.
I'm telling you, they haven't offered him a deal yet.
I found it
Mate, you
interesting.
can't talk about that and not sign, re-sign.
Well,
I
you
found it
can if
interesting
they're
that he
not-
said the most.
Show him some love. They haven't shown him the love that Brisbane has shown him.
Hang on,
at
let's
this
go to
stage.
the newsbreaker here.
Well, I just found it interesting that he said the biggest question he gets at the moment is what to expect from West Coast this year. I thought, I don't think that's the biggest question you're getting right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
Oscar. I
Where
think the
will you
biggest
be
question
next
you're
year?
Did
getting
you call
is
him
where
on
are you
that?
going to play.
Did you do
No,
the Tommy Brass on him?
I didn't get to see him afterwards. The players shuffled out pretty quick afterwards.
If I'm West
They-
Coast, I'm signing him tomorrow, and I'm not saying match what.
6 years?
Long-term contract. He's a gun.
Hang on, Mitchie. Come on, mate. Honest. 6 years for him?
Yeah, I do. He's still young enough. I think he's still so important to their culture. He's the co-captain.
Normally, as a co-captain, that would happen. We saw Brayshaw, but what about his... What about...
Knee? His knee's not perfect, but it's still okay. I mean, everyone's a bit banged up. You'd know that more than anyone playing footy.
I know, but I never got a 6 year. No one got 6 years
but
in my day.
But it's a
Times
different
have changed.
time.
Swimmer
now.
got one
They
and
are de
couldn't go...
rigueur now, mate. Everyone gets one.
Yeah, but the Eagles are at the stage where do they do that? Do they give long-term deals like that? You know what I mean?
Well,
But
okay,
I think
so-
there are exceptions to that rule, and he's one of them. He's their co-captain. He's their absolutely, and with apologies to Jake, I think Jake's pretty close, all Australian. Oscar's still their number one forward.
Well, and
in my opinion.
who's pushing Oscar out of the side right now?
Yeah, but we're talking in 6 years' time. Is this going to be a good decision? And I'll play the Kane Corns.
Mm-hmm.
He's been scathing on Fremantle with and the Sean Darcy
with
deal.
their long-term deals.
That could come back on him. Now they're talking about Jackson.
Well, it won't come back
Jackson,
on-
did you see that rumour
trade.
spread through Mantra? Were you there?
Yeah.
So Cozzy comes out, gets talked to by the Dockers bloke, Cozzy Pickett, everyone loves him, blah, blah, blah. Then out comes Jacko hugging, Petrarca and Oliver.
Seemed
and,
a bit of one-way traffic, that one, though. And I don't blame Melbourne for throwing
Are you a
it
body
out there.
language expert, are you?
Oh, yeah, I am. Do you know what I'm thinking right now?
I do, mate. And then that rumour started. Did you start that rumour?
No, I didn't start that
Who
rumour.
started the rumour that they were being traded?
There's a rumour coming out of Melbourne. Was it? It was out of Melbourne, just talking from Melbourne's point
But
of view.
didn't it grow legs?
Well,
And
so-
suddenly
so-
by the time you did the
So
press
when
conference...
Brad Green came out and said we want three first rounders for Cozzy Pickett, and then lo and behold, the next day out comes the Luke Jackson one. So you
I'll tell you
put
exactly
the pieces together.
Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened there. They said, okay, three picks, and the Dockers went, ha, that ain't happening. So then, okay, we want Sarong, Brayshaw, Young, but we don't want Darcy, right? So I reckon they've pivoted then and gone, well, you've got 2 ruckmen. How about we take Luke Jackson? And then I reckon that's how it all sparked up.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you think there's anything in it?
I don't think there's anything in it from this side of the country.
Because the coach had to talk about it after the game.
Every club, every other club in the AFL would want Luke Jackson on their list. Every club. So of course there's something in it from that point of view. But it's more. I think it's one-way traffic at the moment.
So you wouldn't do the
I
deal
don't think
for Cozzy?
No.
So
No, what about you?
Well, okay, so I'm going to go back to the heart of the story straight away. And I think this keeps getting missed, is Mitch Cleary, who's an excellent reporter over there for Channel 7 in Melbourne. His story isn't that Luke Jackson wants to go back to Melbourne.
right.
His story is not that Melbourne or any other Victorian club has actually offered him a contract. The story is that clubs think they can turn his head.
He's gettable.
That's what they believe.
they
Whether
think.
he is or not,
Gettable, good
whether he is or not is a completely another story.
Everyone's
But
gettable at the right price.
Yeah.
What he's being told, and like I said, Mitch Cleary is one of the best in the business. So if he's hearing this, he does not reporting this for no
So
reason.
you're saying this before you whack him.
I'm
right?
saying no, yeah. There's the compliment
He's
sandwich.
a great bloke, love him, but
I'm saying that they believe he's gettable. On the other hand, I'm saying Fremantle would be crazy to trade him, and I don't think they will. I think he's staying. I think there's numerous factors.
so you think
outside
the
of
2
football.
ruck thing is keep going with the 2 ruck thing, Kane Corns?
No, I'm not sure the 2 ruck thing works. I haven't been given enough evidence yet. I want to believe that I want to believe that it could work, and I can see a world where it does. Don't forget, Melbourne won a premiership with Gawn and Jackson in the side. There's 2. That's the same dynamic.
Jacko was-
Obviously,
and
Gawn's a bit
If it
different.
hasn't worked by the end of this season, I'll call it now. This is my view. If
Darcy
it hasn't
goes?
worked by the end of this year, Darcy goes.
Well, and they've got to fit
Because
Cozzy
there'll be
Pickett.
plenty of
That's
clubs.
what I like.
Be
Get
plenty
that on
of
the promo. Say it again.
Plenty of clubs would want to have him, but it may work this year. Let's hope it does. Let's hope they've got some silverware. He's the number 1 ruck. I still prefer Jackson as the number 2 ruck.
Well, we're going to find out because Liam got absolutely pants on the
playing
weekend.
against Max Gawn.
A
Liam-
I know, but-
a 2-gamer versus a 7-time
but
All-Australian.
that's what I'm saying.
He
is,
did. You get pants. You're right. Got his bottom handed to him.
And the best player on the ground was?
Well,
Luke
I'd say
Jackson.
Max, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, but he
I
was
think
not the
Max
number
Gawn
one
was the best
ruckman at the
player on
time.
ground.
Yeah, but he was rucking.
but not the whole time.
Yeah,
And
well, a lot
but
of
what
it,
you're
yeah.
saying, are you saying that he becomes a midfielder, are you?
Well, I'm saying that a lot
him
of
on
the
a wing.
influence he had was as that lead up forward. So the way the Fremantle were playing is they started their structure with the 3 smalls, and from memory, I believe it was Bolton. Walter started on the bench, so I think it was Switkowski, and I'm trying to think of the top of my head,
What's
the
the wrong,
third
was it?
one. And then so they were the 3 high half forwards.
Oh, right.
And then deep, they started with Amos out of the square, Tracy in front of him, and Jackson next to him. So they had the 3 talls deep. Jackson was the one who was the connector on one wing, and Tracy was the other one on the
So,
other
you
wing.
know
So
what I
they were
like?
spreading.
I like Sharp. I like O'Driscoll. I like those the opposite wings. I like Jackson as a forward, chop out in the ruck, and an extra midfielder at some point, going in for the centre bounces and as an extra mid. I think it works. So I think you name me a player that can do all of that. Maybe someone like a Bontempelli, but there's not
So
too
that
many.
means Darcy has to go if it doesn't work.
If it doesn't work, I think so, yeah.
I think we're getting too far ahead of ourselves, though. At the moment, we've got the problem for Fremantle is they don't have Darcy available.
Yeah.
So if they're, and you pointed out, yes,
Have to play
Liam
Liam Reedy.
They've got to play him, but Liam Reedy
Against
got
Geelong,
a
you
bit.
can get away with it.
But I wonder if there's a stage early
got
in the
his pants pulled
season.
down.
By Gawn.
Here's what I'm saying, though.
They haven't got Gawn, mate.
Hold on, boys. I'm wondering if we're looking at this, though, in different ways. If early in the season, hopefully they don't get any injuries during games, but if they don't, they're able to sub out a Liam Reedy late in the 3rd quarter, ruck Jackson and Tracy for the final term, bring in a bit of pace, so that at least they can
You're
still
saying
play
all
Liam Reedy.
3?
No, so have Liam Reedy as your starting ruck early in the season.
Yeah, well,
and
that's
then you're
have
able
to.
to sub him out, maybe bring in some pace off through your sub, and have Jackson and Tracy finish the game.
I don't like
your
Jack
rucks.
Tracy in the ruck.
I don't either, but you might be able to get away with it
He's
for a
too
quarter.
valuable where he is.
Hey,
Keep him there.
he's hit on something here. This is the big dilemma for JL, isn't it? Where do I go?
Doesn't like J-Lo.
The way he got pantsed, can I go with him against Geelong? The way that Liam Reedy played, I don't think I could play him.
Yeah.
But we would said that about Lloyd Meek years ago, and now look at Lloyd Meek.
Max
It's the number one guy at
Max
Hawthorn.
Gawn, mate. He's a bit different.
This is Reece
But this
Stanley.
happened last week, right?
This is Reece Stanley next week. You know what I mean? This is the second week.
So you play Reedy and Jackson.
Yes.
Okay.
And then if halfway or late in the third quarter, if I've got no injuries, I'm subbing Reedy out. I'm putting Jackson in the ruck for the most of the final term, and I'm backing my mids to get the job done.
Hey, just on that point, Freo round 1 v Geelong at GMHBA now with Cyclone, Alfred coming in, they don't have to play a team coming off. So some say it's a disadvantage playing a hardened team coming off opening round when you haven't played. Of course, they played Brisbane last year and won here. But
what does Megatron Mitch say?
I don't know. Like,
I like that
What
Megatron.
disruption does this have for Brisbane? For Geelong.
A lot.
Like,
A
Geelong
lot.
right now, we're planning to go up north, play, and then come back home. They had it in their sights. They would have, they're a very professional outfit. We hear about them not having to spend as much contact hours in Geelong. They would have had their plans laid, and now those plans are in disarray. I'm sure that they will very quickly change up and, do
They're
what
a
they
very
need to
professional
do.
club. They'll find a way. Patrick Dangerfield admitted as much the other night on, I think it was AFL 360. Yes, it has disrupted. Of course it's disrupted you. You're preparing to play in 2 days' time. You're preparing to fly with this cyclone swirling around, pardon the pun. But, I think it would disrupt you. But you'd move on pretty quickly. They'll do some match sim on Saturday, and then they'll prepare.
There's a famous saying in AFL circles, if you give Chris Scott too much time to bring you unstuck, he will do it. And that's what he'll be doing right now to JL.
An extra time,
and the Dockers. I reckon they're in strife. I reckon it's hurt them. I reckon it would have been better if
Got a
they...
good record at GMHBA.
Yeah, they have too. I'll tell you what's interesting at this, and you might like this, Megatron. Talking to the Eagles blokes, mate, Caleb Sarong, that is the one, that's the player they fear. I was amazed
Eagles
about
fear
that.
Caleb Sarong.
I thought it was Hayden or, Jacko or whatever. No, apparently he's the one player in the derbies they can't get hold of. Mind you, he has won a few Glendinning Allen medals, hasn't he? So that was a little bit of feedback. And the other feedback I was going to give to you from the Eagles event, they did this thing where they had bench tables. This sounds stupid talking about it, I know, but normally at these functions, these VIP functions that you don't go to, bullshit.
You were seated.
They're normally circular tables.
You weren't seated.
No, we were seated.
No, you seated, but
they were the long tables, the rectangle instead of the circles.
Have you
weren't
been
looking at everybody.
Have you been to an Oktoberfest?
So
have you been to Oktoberfest?
Oh, yeah.
Either of
when
you
I was
blokes?
at uni.
In Germany?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
I'm a teetotaler, mate. No, I wouldn't go to that.
I thought so. It's like this table here. It's like you sit opposite, and it actually was. I
Better.
thought it was, and it was actually an instruction from the top to bring everyone back together. Like all the Eagles people in tight talking, and it was actually well done. It was like "Hail, fellow, well met" sort of thing. You know what I mean?
I find it interesting that the players get put on. Obviously, there's no one at the media table, but the players get put on individual tables for sponsors and members and the like. And some of the players you can tell quite comfortable, done it a few times. And it's looking across the room at some of the younger players and they look like deer in headlights a little bit.
Hey, not comparing an Eagles official season launch to Kokoda, but do you know the Aussie trenches at Kokoda were rectangular, so you could fit two in it, and the Japanese trenches were circular, but they only had one per trench because they didn't thought that the spirits would get caught in the corners. That's why they were circular. But it sort of was one of the reasons why that we won that battle because you got your mate next to you, whereas they didn't. Anyway,
mate, that's good feedback.
Interesting
I like
point.
that. Hey, before you move on,
we do digress.
Yeah, before we move on,
the big talking point was.
Yes.
Have you got something important to say?
I was just very.
always. Hang on, Megatron. Look, memorable Mitch, Mighty Mitch. What about Mighty Mitch?
If you go on
Quarters, you got to get rid of
Mega.
What is it? Mega
in a word, old song or new song?
Old song.
And we'd see if we can get our producer
old
Josh
song
to
for sure,
maybe
mate.
inject a bit of the old song.
Mate, I want to go back to the original song.
That's what I'm
For
talking
years
about.
they took the best of us
Yeah, I agree.
and claimed them as their own.
You got to sing that a few times,
Mate,
didn't
why not
you?
have
It's not
that?
in the GF.
Those wankers, what they did to us, honestly. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this show or not. Look, try picking. Where are the Eagles going to finish, honestly? Bottom four?
Yep.
Because I was trying to pick the bottom four. Who's in the bottom
5
four?
to 7. Well, Richmond's there. I think Essendon's there. I think St
Essendon?
Kilda's there. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I've got St Kilda there. I've got Richmond.
North Melbourne?
No, I think they rise.
So the Eagles have to be in there because who else is
I
there?
think bottom, top end of it, yeah.
West Coast will, like I keep saying, West Coast, when they play well, are going to play really well and look good and they'll win some games. I just think when the game style, and this again was the theme of the morning, was that they were realistic.
Yeah.
I think when they play some really good teams and they turn the ball over playing this new frenetic game plan, this forward-half game plan, they're going to get really badly hurt on the turnover. And good teams like Sydney and
Turnover
Carlton
footy.
and Fremantle are going to hurt them. And it's okay because I think that there is now this justification, and it's a fair justification in a lot of people's minds, that the direction they're heading in is the positive one.
But there was so much positivity today. You didn't feel like
You'd want there to
maybe
be.
you've underestimated it.
You'd want there to be. In a
Yeah, I
pre-season
understand that. And maybe I was drinking the Kool-Aid, but I felt like
I was drinking the coffee.
Now, a couple of subjects before we get on to some tips, because we've got to keep it moving. I just wanted to address your story today on the cashed up Eagles. So, Brandon Starcevich, Darcy Cameron, Chad Warner. We knew Chad Warner was clearly in their vision. All on the radar for the Eagles. I can see how all three would fill very important roles at the club. Starcevich, arguably the best lockdown defender. Cameron can play that ruck forward role. And Chad Warner goes without saying what he could add to that side.
Yeah, I think we'll address Chad Warner last because I want to talk. I know we're going to talk about that name a lot this year, but I want to talk a bit more about him. Starcevich, a free agent. It's not just WA clubs. Like both Fremantle and West Coast will be interested in this young
as
man.
they should.
And he's still only 25, premiership player. Brisbane will obviously back themselves to keep him. I think there's going to be some interest from Victorian clubs. But West Coast have got a lot of money. They've got a lot of kids. They're not paying a lot of players. That's why, you know, they can fit guys like Oscar Allen on big deals and Starcevich. Darcy Cameron got another year left on his deal after this year. West Coast are just looking for rucks and ruck depth. I don't think they fully trust Flynn's body yet, which is understandable. We don't have the body of work.
He plays round one, though, clearly.
Yep, and Bailey Williams, well, as we've mentioned
He plays in my team as well.
times, I just love the way he goes about it, and he's brave, but he's probably not in the upper echelon of ruckman.
you want to address that now? Because what happened at the function today, speaking to someone very close to those two players, is I believe they've worked out they can't play both of them.
I don't think they can. I don't think
I've been saying that for a while.
Bailey Williams is as good a forward as he can be just yet, but I wouldn't.
But Bailey Williams is such a good competitor and a better player. They want to play him. Flynn played okay, kicked a goal in Bunbury, looked okay.
I thought the lace out pass to.
I want a
Flynn
number.
to
I want
Waterman.
a proper. No offence to Bailey Williams, she's given everything to.
But that means
club.
you have to drop Bailey Williams.
Oh, well, I'm
Well,
not.
Archer Reed's
I'm
gonna
not
be
dropping
playing.
him. No, I
Archer
think he's
Reed's
ahead of
playing.
Archer
You're
Reed.
going
at
to
the
play
moment.
him.
He is, but I think Archer
You
Reed's
can't play
playing.
them both. There's no way you
Why
can
not?
play them both. You cannot play them
Matt
both.
Flynn will go up against Witts in round one because last year on the Gold Coast, I remember I was there. Jared Witts really gave the run around to
That's a
Bailey
good
Williams.
point. That's a good point.
Kicked a couple of goals.
Because he's
really
a key
dominated him.
ruckman. Bailey Williams isn't.
Yeah, and Matt Flynn.
That's
So
why
that's
they
why
need to
Matt
play
Flynn
Flynn
will do that.
But I'd play Williams as well. Any objections to Mitch and I have been busy this week pulling together our rankings for Eagles and Dockers players from 88 down to, we've got to 11 so far. Any raised eyebrows? Do you agree with us? Harley not in that top 10.
Was Harley a
Luke
little-
Jackson
a little
11, Harley Reid 12.
Is this in the AFL, right?
No, this is in the
This is
Eagles
West
and
Coast and
Dockers
Fremantle.
combined teams.
Okay, so you got Harley at 12, have
Yeah,
you?
Jackson at 11.
Yeah. Was that controversial, Harley at 12?
I think it will be, but a lot of people think he should be in the top 10.
There'd be some that would have thought we'd put him at 1, I reckon. I like Harley outside the top 10. I don't think he's yet
He hasn't earned the right
there.
to be in the top 10 yet. Second-year player. He's an exceptionally gifted player. We're going to see some highlight reel after highlight reel, but he's not top 10 yet. They're pretty bloody good players in the top 10.
What's that email address? Please address him to G. Quartermain.
TheWestSport at wanews.com.au. Absolutely.
Let's see what
email
support
us.
you get.
We'll have a mailbag in a minute, actually. We're going to be giving away a $50 voucher, but we'll
Hey,
get
let
to
me
that.
say something
Yeah.
about Chad Warner because I know the G.
Yeah, we
Megatron wanted
didn't
to
do
say
this.
something as well. Now, Megatron, my information is, and I'm very close.
He's coming here.
No, but it's now become 50-50 because he's a massive fan of Coxie. And if you know Coxie,
And his brother's re-signed with him.
yeah,
I think
but
he's coming
it's more about Cox.
Yeah.
Get that on the promo. And because he's Megatron. But let me just say this. If they do well, and you've tipped him for the flag, haven't you?
Who? Sydney?
You.
No, I've tipped GWS.
But you've tipped
Sydney will play
in the grand
GWS
final.
will play Sydney in the grand final.
If they
in my
do
opinion.
really well, I reckon there's a huge doubt now whether he comes back.
I think
maybe if they win the flag, he might come back because they've already
Do you
won
think
a
his
flag.
brother signing has any weight there as well?
I think it helps. I think they're a very tight-knit family.
I think
from
his
what
brother's smart
understand.
using him to get a better deal.
But I also
That's a bit harsh.
I think that Corey apparently won the 2K time trial earlier this year too, which is pretty
Yeah,
Did he win
impressive.
the punch up with his brother as well?
No, maybe I don't know.
This
but,
isn't the Western Bulldogs.
like I think the end Darcy. Sorry, what am I
Warner?
talking about Warner. Here we go. Warner,
Megatron, mate, I've
we've
taken
gone
the
through.
name back.
We've gone through so many. Warner. I think Warner might even. They're starting to lean. There's this feeling in Sydney in the AFL that they might even lean to him signing a 2-year deal to free agency and having another crack then. Which
Doing the Finn Callahan.
he might get 2 years then at Sydney, and maybe they don't stay in that premiership window at that point. So they exit that premiership window. West Coast maybe have kept Harley Reid by then and rebuilt a little bit stronger. Maybe Fremantle
Does that
got
cut
some
it for
more
you?
cap
If you
space.
wanted to play, if you were Chad Warner, would you want to play with Harley Reid? Because that's what they keep saying. He really wants to play with Harley.
Harley might
I
be
don't
here
think
either.
you can. Yeah, but I don't think you can sit there and as a footballer and say I want to play at this club because I want to play with that player. If it's your best mate,
If you knew it was going to be Gary Ablett, or what's your big player of your era? Mine was Gary Ablett Senior. Same with you. Maybe a Hawthorn bloke. Gary Ablett Jr. Who was the big player for you? Judd, was it?
yeah, it was Judd, and my
So if
favourite when
you-
I was a kid was Nick Rewalt.
So if you were Chad Warner and you had a chance to play with Judd, or if you were someone else and you had a chance to play with Chris Judd, that would have an influence on you, wouldn't it?
It'd have an influence, but Chris Judd at 21 before he left to Chris Judd at West Coast when he was 2006, or even Carlton when he went there.
You know he's
are
going
two
to be
different
Chris Judd.
factors.
You know he's going to be as good as Chris
Yeah,
Judd.
but you don't know if he's going to stay.
Yeah, well, that's the only.
You're
factor.
moving
That's
back
the only
home to
factor you don't
play
know.
with Harley Reid.
By the way,
Harley
Wayne
Reid hasn't
Carey,
signed a
probably the player of the latter stages. Lee Matthews early, but Wayne Carey at the end there.
Hey, do you reckon? Shut up. Do you reckon Chad Warner would ring up Harley Reid and ask him?
Yeah, why not?
Well, why wouldn't you? Well, it's
No,
part
No,
of your
that's what I would
research.
do. If
No
I was
law
Chad
against
Warner
it.
or Chad Warner's dad, who I know, good fella, I'd be ringing up Harley and Harley, give us an idea what you're doing because it may influence our decision.
It's part of your entire research about this, then yeah, of course I would. If it honestly was affecting Chad Warner's decision making, then he should ring and ask. But I seriously doubt when there is money, contracts, premierships, glory, games, everything that comes with it.
Yep.
I seriously doubt that Harley is a massive factor. I think it has an influence on it, and I think Chad would love it. Well, I would dare say he would. I dare say most players in the AFL would. But I just cannot see it being the swaying factor for
It might be a negative as well because Harley, if he stays, he's going to suck up all the money. You know, the boys have been going around and just chipping him. Once since Finn Callahan came out and said, or his manager did, or
I'm not
somebody
going.
said 17 mil for 10 years, right? 17 for 10, right? So now they're saying, hey, Harley, 20 mil. Imagine thinking you could be on 20 mil. I mean, there may not be much money left for Chad Warner if he gets the big deal Megatron. What do you reckon? If he gets the Megatron deal,
Well, there's money at the Eagles.
but if he gets 20 mil over 10,
Yeah, but the salary cap's continually going up with the Channel 7 rights deal and et cetera. So
did you look at that in your story though? That will there be the money there? Still the war chest if they get?
What about
if they keep
Freo?
Harley?
What about Freo with all their long-term signings? Is that going to present a problem
well, they
down
can't
the track?
they can't squeeze him in. I
No,
think
but I'm
that's
not
gonna be
talking about
really
Chad.
hard.
I'm talking about all the long-term
Cosy.
contracts.
Do you remember when we saw Collingwood have to offload Treloar back a few years ago, and that Ned Guy interview and that famous night? You have to wonder what that's going to do, but you also have to. David Walls is their list boss.
Well, they'd be
He's a
front-ended,
man-
back-ended. They'd be it's complicated.
David
but
Walls is the man I very much respect.
Yeah,
From
of
a lot of
course.
conversations I've had with him, one of the best, I believe, drafters of later picks in the AFL at the moment. Look at the guys he's got in Luke Ryan, Switkowski. He doesn't miss in that 30 to 50 range. He just hits them every time. I think they would have learnt lessons from that. So I don't think they'll get in that situation as deep.
Are you saying they can still afford Warner?
I'm saying they can afford Pickett. I don't think they
Pickett.
can afford Pickett and Warner.
Yeah, right.
Unless the Sean Darcy stuff comes to fruition. And then the game changes
watch
entirely.
this space, as they say. Boys, I'm excited because we actually can get to pick some winners this week, albeit only 2. Let's start with Friday night, SCG, 4:40 p.m. Bit of a shower forecast, but certainly nothing like
Is that
Alfred.
tomorrow night or another Friday?
Friday night.
Yeah, right.
Sydney, $1.85 versus Hawthorn, $1.96. Sydney outscored its opponents by 8.5 points per game from clearances, ranked second in the competition last year. The Swans have won three of their last 4 games against the Hawks at the SCG by 36 points per game average. Hawthorn won the ground balls by 8.4 per game. Ranked number 1 in the AFL last season, it won that stat by 36 against the Swans in round 7, the second best result by any team. Sydney, debutants, Tom Hanley, a small forward, and with some doubt over Papley. Ben Payton from the Saints comes in, a small defender. A lot of those Hawthorn small forwards who are threats. Hawthorn club debutants, 2 Tom Barrass, Josh Battle. Good luck to both of them. No CJ and no Kalshadir. I'm going to pick Sydney. I think it'll be tight, but I just think at the SCG, coming off that grand final defeat, McCartan's they've been experimenting with McCartan forward. I think they need to do something in their forward line. That's what concerns me about
Until Logan
this team.
McDonald's, he'll play out there.
Hawthorn haven't, look, I think on the right track, going to have a good year, but I just think early SCG, Kalshadir is a big loss. Just straightens them up a bit in that forward line. So who's going to, is it Chol? Is it Gunston? Maybe it's...
Hey, Megatron, what do you reckon he's doing here? He's the Hawthorn
the reverse
guy,
mock.
And he's tipping
So
Sydney.
you saying I'm reverse mocked? By
I
picking
don't know.
the best side of last season, bar the grand final, to win on their home ground.
He's protesting too much here, I think.
Sydney wins.
He is covering up. Because if the Hawthorn bloke's tipping Sydney, what are we going to do?
Well, I'm worried that Sydney got no Goulden. That's the big one for me. He was a guy who can win a Brownlow.
Got plenty of other talent.
But the Dean Cox factor
play
too.
the ground well.
Mate,
He's
you are
first.
off.
He's got the mock on. No, Dean, Ruffy going to sit down and watch this one actually?
Ruffy watches all the Hawthorn.
Yeah, I figured he might.
His little beanie on.
Little chihuahuas in the beanie on. Yeah, okay.
When he knows you're barracking for the other team, because of your tips Sydney, he'll be filthy.
Yeah.
I'm going Sydney as well, though. I think the Dean Cox factor, first game in charge. And you know what? Friday night, no Thursday night game. It's going to be the Sydney show. Watch Chad Warner light this one up.
They're ready to explode. I'm with Megatron. They are ready to explode.
So we're all picking Sydney.
Yeah, I can't believe you. Spread the word. I'm ringing your brother straight after this.
Okay.
Steve will be horrified.
Sunday, NG Stadium, 12:20 p.m. GWS $2.20. Collingwood $1.66. Very, very short in this game. Of course, the Giants, there's no Jesse Hogan, there's no Jake Stringer, and there's no Tom Green. Collingwood averaged 234.2 more handball metres than its opponents last year, the second biggest differential of any team. The Giants averaged 275.9 more handball metres than their opponents, the biggest differential of any team. So it's going to be a bit of a handball game, this one. Magpies have won 3 of their last 4 games against the Giants, losing last year's corresponding opening round clash by 32 points, despite the outs. I'm picking the Giants, who I'm picking for the flag, just to win. I'm not going to pick against them up there this year.
No, I'm going the Giants as well, and a lot of spotlight on them. This is a fun rivalry, isn't it? When what Mason Cox called it, the showgrounds, the farmyard or whatever he called it, chicken coop or whatever he said. This is a fun rivalry.
Was it a zoo or something?
Yeah, he was talking about how there's everything there. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's a fun rivalry. I think Collingwood are going to be seriously good this year. But I still haven't found that right mix for me down back.
Well, Houston's going to help this year.
He is.
I think there's going to be a different look with Houston, Dacos.
But he's not a key back.
He was number 1 for D50. Oh, no, I'm not saying he's a key back.
But Jesse's not playing, so does it?
But that's what I mean. So they haven't found. So Nathan Murphy's obviously retired at the start of last season. I know I'm going back a long way, but they haven't found a replacement for him. So no Hogan's probably not going to tear them apart. So that comes back to a level playing field for me, and I've just got the Giants because it's at home because of that reason.
I'm going to tip the Pies. I've been super impressed with them in pre-season. I've tipped Dacos for the Brownlow. I think he's going to be amazing. Hogan and Green. Green's a massive out. Massive.
He is out.
Tommy
I picked him
Green
for the Brownlow this
out.
year, actually.
And what was the story with the toilet on the bus and Jesse Hogan's thumb?
Yeah.
Megatron. What was that about?
Yeah, he broke his thumb somehow on the toilet, but they were trying to explain it. I'm not sure. I'm curious to see how that... Can you imagine going to see Kingsley and saying to him, boss, I've broken my thumb. What'd you do?
Mate, I got my thumb stuck in a black cab in London, down the back seat. I don't know. I was just relaxing and the hand went down there and it got stuck in there and I cut the top of my finger open. So it can happen. Accidents can happen.
Hey, tell him the story because he's a young bloke, mate. Tell him about the most bizarre injury of all time, which involved a Hawthorn player by the name of Dermot Brereton. And he fractured his...
I'm not going to go into specific detail, Barrett. Let's just say it's at the Lyric nightclub, and it sort of hurt to go to the toilet for a little
He
while.
fractured his... You know what?
Yeah.
His old fella. He couldn't play.
So you're picking the pies.
What's he kicking the ball with?
There have been some bizarre injuries
fracture?
over the year. Josh Gibson falling over in the shower.
Can you actually fracture your...
Well, apparently ligaments, yeah. That's what
Sherrod
I've been told.
William, trampoline?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. Hello to Sherrod if you're listening. Great man he is. Very good football brain too. I'm excited. This week, we're back to the Thirsty Camel mailbag, Barra.
Yes.
This week, we'll be giving away a $50 digital voucher thanks to Thirsty Camel. This week's special, Great Northern Super Crisp Stubbies, only $54.99 a carton. Spend $20 or more for your chance to win a trip to the NRL's Magic Round. Get your questions in for next week to TheWestSport at wanews.com.au. That is TheWestSport at wanews.com.au. Please include your mobile number at the bottom of your email and we will send you a digital voucher if you're a weekly winner, and please try and keep them short. This one, welcome back for 2025, enjoying the new format. Not a question, but a comment. No free-to-air footy on Saturdays is a kick in the guts when cost of living is at a tipping point for many families. The anti-siphoning laws turned out to be toothless, with politicians bending to the will of pay TV owners. Since cricket left free-to-air TV in 2013, I can say I've only seen a handful of games and my general interest in that sport has waned. It is a slippery slope that signals the end of free-to-air sport. Thanks to AFL. That's Michael from Morley. The new deal kicks in this year, Barra. It's a new channel, local commentary team for home games.
Yeah, did you see that in the paper today?
I did.
Where were you?
Yeah, I think I might
what's
be.
going on?
I might be past it. I may need to come
Past
in and
it,
help
past
out a
it.
bit. But we've got Benny Cousins. Obviously, is going to be a big feature of that. Mark Lacroix.
Ryan Daniels.
Yeah, he really wants to be a caller, so he wants to be the new James
Good luck
Brayshaw.
to Ryan and the team. Yeah.
Skeeter's come back, the great man. Been around for a while. Sean McManus, great talent. Danny Shuey on the boundary with Anna Hay from time to time.
Yep.
I think Nick Nat will be passing through there as well.
No appearance from yourself with the old leather gloves back from the old days on the boundary line?
You know, one time I was riding the boundary. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Do you know how they do the staples in injuries? Have you
They
seen that?
staple them straight into your head off a gun or whatever.
Yeah. I had the gun and I was doing it live around Australia. And
You had
during
the
a big
staple gun.
Staple gun. I said, and what you do is, and I I stapled my hand live on telly.
And what was your comment?
Oh, mate, I was that close to crying.
So they put you into these into your head.
You reckon the footy show did much with that? Cheapers.
Normally they put that. It's painful.
Oh, mate, it was actually incredible.
So look, the new deal kicks in this year. There's 23 Thursday
you want to answer
night
that
games.
though? What is the answer?
Well, Saturday games are all pay TV. The Eagles and Dockers games will be delayed, so they will be played, but just with a delay on 7 and 7+, but not the derbies.
No, that's right. And anti-siphoning does work in that sense that you will see every Eagles.
7 did have the cricket over the summer too, I might point out.
Every Eagles and Dockers game will be on 7 this year.
Yes, and they have the same number of live games. But look, he raises a point. Look, pay TV on Saturdays now. If you want to watch live footy, and I mean the world has moved, it's shifted a bit.
Or you can just go to west.com.au and read our excellent analysis and match reports.
And what about the waffle coverage will be boosted because they've gone Saturday night now, haven't they, to try to boost the footy content for you?
Are you on that?
I don't know, actually. Well, I'll be at the footy one with my club, winning a few games, hopefully, the Mighty Demons.
He's up and about. Brandon Parfitt's here, quarters.
He is a
He's
good
in
player.
Perth.
He is a
training,
good
I
player.
believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I saw him at the Eagles training yesterday.
No salary cap issues there, mate? I'll tell you
No,
what,
mate.
A bit close to the bone, was it? Or?
No,
No, but his spare room's full.
Is it?
hopefully we can, challenge for the finals. I think Claremont will win it.
I think people expect you to make finals now.
Yeah, well, I think we'll go close. But I reckon Claremont, I was talking to Zach Mainwaring about it. He said, really, they should. He didn't say this. I said this. They should have won last year. They should have beaten Peel down in Peel, and Blair Bell kicked that goal with 19 seconds to go. And whoever was on him, I think we've talked about this, should never play again. But anyway.
I think we might sort out with Josh. We might do a waffle pod. Barra, before the start of the season. We'll sort that out with Josh off air.
High Quarters and team, wondering if you are concerned at all about the AFL preferring short-term profitability over long-term viability. The combination of players mainly coming from private schools and games going behind a paywall is exactly what led to the slow demise of rugby union over the last 20 years. Feels like the AFL is robbing itself with one hand and shooting itself in the foot with the other. On that point, opening round is completely pointless when the NRL will happily fill the void on free-to-air telly for the next 6 months. That's Matt from Sydney.
Well, that's coming from the ground, isn't it, Sydney? That's the key demographic. I'll disagree with some of the private school stuff. I think some of the best players come from country
hopefully
areas.
The West Australian Football Commission is now addressing the pathways, and hopefully we can find some players out there who don't. PSA is a very good pool of talent.
But their big driver with Dixie Marshall and Peter Bell's new programs, also Brad Wirra, their big driver is that there's too many kids coming from private schools. There should be more broadening of the pool. They should come from the country. They should come from the Kimberley, and hopefully that happens.
All I'll say is that, one of the best players coming out of the draft for the last few years came from a small country town and a small country high school in Victoria, which I know is not Western Australia, but...
Who's that?
Harley Reid.
Bobby Hill was all right too.
You'll like this one. Hey, Quarters, an AFL memo landed at my front door, courtesy of Cyclone Alfred, which revealed the team songs for 2025. Good luck to our friends in Queensland. We don't take that lightly at all.
No.
Adelaide, time after time. We have this every year, Barry, you know this. Brisbane, hallelujah. Carlton, pleasure and pain. Collingwood, dream on. Essendon, learning to fly. Fremantle, you can't always get what you want. In this case, they're saying you don't always get what you want. Geelong, cats in the cradle. Gold Coast, summer love. GWS, am I ever going to see your face? Hawthorn, Wild Boys. Melbourne, danger zone. North Melbourne, what a fool believes. Port Adelaide, stand by your man. Richmond, it's a long way to the top. Very clever. St Kilda, stumbling in. Remember that? The guy from Smokey and Susie Quattro. Sydney, come back again. Western Bulldogs, dogs are talking. And West Coast, Minnie the Moocher. I like it. That's from our good friend Andrew from Leeming. We know Andrew.
Nice.
Finally, Michelle, also from Leeming, High Quarters. Is it a wasted opportunity not transferring the Suns v Bombers opening round fixture to TIO Stadium and showcasing the game in the actual NT footy season? Not a bad point.
No, but I will point out, and I was talking to people about this today, that Cyclone's not just about not being able to play a game of football. There are people with families and, children and all sorts that are trying to look after their house as well. So they need to stay there. I think Lachie Neale said if they moved the game, they wouldn't have played, or he wouldn't have played. So, this is not just about a game of football at the end of the day.
Yeah, well said, Megatron.
Well, this week I'm going to give the Thirsty Camel $50 digital voucher to Michelle on that last point. Well done, Michelle.
Send some letters in. Get in. Criticise us. Argue with us. Have a crack. Have a bit of fun.
Mitch, don't worry, mate.
Let's do it.
They're coming.
Come on.
They are coming. Thanks for listening. We are brought to you by TABtouch. Got the touch? Download the TABtouch app today. What's gambling really costing you? And remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music. Leave us a rating and a review. And don't forget to follow this podcast so you don't miss an episode. Talk to you next week. Thank you, Barra. Thank you, Mitch. Good luck with your tipping in opening round.